Hello everyone, welcome to the session on domain knowledge using ChatGPT. In our previous sessions, we have learned how to create requirement templates and creating user stories using ChatGPT. But in this session, our focus will be on acquiring domain knowledge in order to build quality software. So let's get started. After going through this video, you will understand what is domain knowledge and why is it required before building any software or a product. Next, we will deep dive into two domains in this session, that is the insurance domain and the sales domain using ChatGPT. So let's begin this session with understanding of domain knowledge. Domain knowledge refers to the knowledge and expertise that a person or a group has within a particular field or industry. It is in opposition to general knowledge. It is the understanding of the principles, concepts, and terminology that are specific to that area of expertise. For example, in the field of medicine, domain knowledge would include knowledge of human anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, and medical procedures. Similarly, in the field of finance, domain knowledge would include knowledge of financial instruments, market analysis, and investment strategies. To have domain knowledge is important because it allows individuals to understand and solve problems within their specific field of expertise. It also helps individuals communicate effectively with others within the same field and to make informed decisions based on the knowledge and experience. So if we talk about software engineering, the domain knowledge is knowledge about the environment in which the target system operates. For example, in order to build a product, the developers must have to do a thorough research in the insurance domain to build the quality software. And it is essential to know before building software because it helps ensure that the software meets the needs and requirement of its intended users. Domain knowledge is particularly important for software that is used in complex or specialized fields such as healthcare, finance, or engineering. In these domains, software developers need to have a deep understanding of the processes, regulations, and terminology used in the field in order to create software that accurately models and supports the work being done. So overall, having domain knowledge is critical for building software that is effective, efficient, and meets the need of its users. So now let's see how we can gather domain knowledge in the field of insurance using ChatGPT. So let's go to ChatGPT and we'll be doing the domain analysis or the study of insurance industry. For that, we will ask the ChatGPT about the insurance industry with the sample prompt. So I'll just type in, can you teach me about the insurance industry? And just hit enter. So if you see the result, it has given us a good overview of what the insurance industry is all about. It has given us, it is a sector of the economy that provides coverage against potential and financial losses. So if you read through it, you will know how it works, the type of insurances, life insurance, health insurance, and so on. The domain analysis or study can also help when you're about to enter the market. For example, let's say you got a job in the insurance industry. Then you will need to know how the industry works and its business structure and so on. So now let's ask ChatGPT another prompt. What are some of the internal processes that insurance companies rely on to run their businesses? And just hit enter. So again, if you look at the response, it has given us some of the internal processes to run the business effectively, such as underwriting, claims management, and so on. Now let's say we are not satisfied with this outcome and we need more answers. So let's ask another question. Are there any other major activities that are part of an insurance company's business model? So now just hit enter. So now again, if you go back to the response, so it has given us some major activities that are part of insurance company's business model, which includes risk assessment and management, investment management, regulatory compliance, innovation and technology, and so on. So now let us see how ChatGPT will answer for the claim processing process, as it is very important here in the insurance field. Can you tell me a little more about what is involved in the claims processing process of an insurance company? And just hit enter. So now you can see the set of steps for claim processing. Very impressive. You can see ChatGPT has given us a detailed overview of how the claims processing work along with its steps. So if I want to get deeper into the point number 5, which is settlement, then our prompt should be, can you elaborate on point number 5? So this prompt has talked about lump sum settlement, structured settlement, partial, advance payment, denial of claim, and so on. So it has given us an in-depth analysis of claim settlement process, how it looks like. Now let us ask ChatGPT about how a mortgage claim is assessed. So let me ask, can you give me an example of when and how an insurance company would process a mortgage claim they receive from a customer? So again, if you look at the response and read it carefully, you will come to know that it has given us the detailed steps of how insurance company might process a mortgage claim. So now let us ask ChatGPT if it can tell us some of the questions that are asked during determining of the coverage. So let me ask, what kind of questions they would ask when determining coverage. So you can just go through the information. So these are the details like personal information, property information, risk factors, which is required to determine the coverage. So now let us focus on health insurance a bit. So let me just write another prompt which says, can you elaborate on the types of policy details a health insurance policy can contain? So again, if you look at the response, it has given us 10 points for the policy details, starting from covered services, exclusions, deductibles, co-payments, and so on. So now let us see if ChatGPT can give us more. So if I type Is there anything else? So we are talking in the conversational manner. So let me just enter it. So again, it has given us 4 points. So as you can go through the examples, it has given us waiting periods, coordination of benefits, emergency medical coverage, and so on. So now let me ask another prompt. Can you give me a specific example using dental insurance? So if you look at the response, it has given us an example using dental insurance. So now let us see if it can provide us the list of rules that a claim system uses to determine the coverage. So I'll just type in, can you give me a list of rules that a claims processing system would use to determine types of coverage? So it has given us almost 10 rules, and you can ask ChatGPT to expand any one of them. So let me ask ChatGPT, can you give me a few examples of point number 2? So again, if you look, it has given us some examples of the covered services, which was point number 2 in the previous response. So these covered services may be included in a health insurance policy, such as preventive care, emergency care, hospitalization, prescription drugs, mental health and substance abuse services, and so on. So that was all for the insurance domain. Now let us switch to another domain, which is sales domain. So let us ask ChatGPT some basic questions for the sales domain. So let's start with the first one, which is, what kind of activities are involved in sales? And just hit enter. So again, if you look at the answer, it has given us some examples of the type of activities which are involved in the insurance sales, starting from prospecting, then lead generation, needs assessment, product education, closing the sale, and so on. But the answers are very short. So if I want to get an in-depth answer, I can just write another prompt. Can you give me some more better answer? So here in this response, it has given us some detailed examples of activities, starting again from prospecting, then lead generation, and so on. So now let us see if ChatGPT knows about CRM systems that the large enterprises uses. So let me type in, what is a good CRM system for large enterprises, and just hit enter. So you can see it is giving us the companies like Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics 365, SAP Customer Experience, Oracle's CX, and so on. So now let us focus on the Salesforce. So all companies have tools for the other domains as well, except the Salesforce. So let us focus on Salesforce. So let me ask, what does Salesforce do? So here the response is related to Salesforce platform and not Salesforce company. So we have managed sales, market and advise, marketing automation, customization, integrations, and so on. So now let us ask about the processes a company needs to have for sales management, for which I will type in the comment. What processes does a company need to have in place for sales management? So again, if you go through the response, you will find these are the most important key processes in place, which is sales planning, lead generation, sales process, sales forecasting, and so on. So now let us focus on the lead generation part. So I'll just ask another sample prompt, which is, what is involved in setting up sales target? And now if you look at the response, it has given us the steps involved in setting up sales target, which is starting from define the sales goals, then break down the goals into manageable targets, determine the time frame, and so on. Now let us ask and be specific about the job positions set up sales target in companies. So let me ask, what are some job titles that I can expect to have in sales management team? So it has generated the answers with the job titles like sales manager, sales director, regional sales manager, business development manager, account manager, and sales operations manager. So now let us see if it knows about the number of sales director for the company P&G. So let's ask, how many sales directors work at P&G? So you can see ChatGPT is not trained in that area. That is why it has written as an AI language model. I do not have access to real-time data on the number of sales directors currently working at Procter & Gamble, that is P&G. So now let us try to get an approximate answer. So we will see how many sales directors should I expect to see at a company like P&G. So we have just modified the prompt and let's see the response. So again, it is not trained in this area, therefore it has given us that it would depend on several factors like size of the organization, geographic regions in which the company operates, and the specific sales strategy and structure that the company employs. So well, that's it for the sales domain. We can see for doing domain analysis, ChatGPT has been a very helpful tool and gives us a lot of information in quick amount of time. Now let's have a quick recall of what we have covered so far. So we saw what is domain knowledge and why is it important before building any product or any software. And finally, we went through a demo for analyzing the domain knowledge using ChatGPT for two domains, that is the insurance and the sales domain. So that was all for this session. Thank you.